Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of to Into the Pit. Excuse me. And I have here my buddy Ragnar. He is the modern Viking, and he works with animals, does a little acting, little modeling, all kinds of cool stuff. And we're just gonna have a nice conversation. Hopefully, we'll laugh. Maybe we'll cry a little. But I wanted to catch up with him, see what's been going on. And I'm just going to let you lead off. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and we'll get into the conversation.
Yeah, so I mean, if you did not hear the podcast that I was on prior, my name is Ragnar, full name Ragnar BloodBeard-Ragnar. BloodBeard means Bloodbeard in Old Norse, and being the modern Viking, I use a Norse persona when I'm dealing with my entertainment company, or if I'm dealing with the fire troop that I work with locally here in Detroit. And I kind of just took that whole role and kind of made it catchy to be able to know, like if you know Old Norse, and if, I'm at an event and you've done a little bit of research and and you catch the name, you'll get the idea of, the symbolism of the name being the appearance as well, which is something that I teach is Old Norse history and myth. And if you know anything about the Old Norse people, a nickname is often given to a man or a woman, and the last name that is used when addressing them or writing about them or anything like that would be something like that, Ragnar Lothbrok. So Ragnar Lothbrok in the history show Vikings, that is actually not his last name. That's not his father's name. That's not a name that he was born with or given, aside from given by doing some sort of feat or having a story told about him or having a raiding party recognize some noble act or valiant thing that you did on said raid. So his real name, when he was a baby, a child, before he became Ragnar Lothbrok, would have been Ragnar Sigurdsson. And so his dad was a famous dragon slayer, and he would have been raised with his father's name Sigurdsson, right? Ragnar Sigurdsson. And once he completed some kind of exploit, which in his case was also slaying a dragon, and his name Lothbrok means shaggy breeches. So during the fight, for some reason, he had some really, it was likely to be like a Icelandic sheep or a Norwegian sheep or ram skin made into thick breeches. And while he fought the dragon, that was what came out, was the name that he received that name. And it was just basically the story that he had that pair of pants on for some reason. You'll find some very dry humor placed in Norse mythology because it's all poetic. Everything we have is a poem, and it's always metaphors and symbolism and different things like that. So who knows exactly why it was shaggy breeches that he got the last name for, but it was in fact for slaying a dragon.
Oh, a lot of parallels to Native Americans.
What's that?
A lot of parallels to Native Americans.
Right. Where you're going to be given a typically, if you were a famous person, especially, you had a name like that, right? You were given a nickname based on your exploit. Harold Bluetooth, right? He had either an obsession with eating berries or drinking foreign wine, or actually had dead teeth, or nothing at all. And it could have been some stupid metaphor that his best bud, who's also, vice president, so to say, advisor to the Jarl or chieftain, and it was a joke, and it blossomed into something. It's just like the Goliath bird-eating tarantula. It doesn't eat birds. Sure, it would eat a bird that fell out of the nest, but it's not an arboreal animal. It's not up in the trees. It's down on the ground, and that animal is not eating birds. So what happened was either the tribe that was guiding I believe it was Dr. Klinghammer, if I'm not mistaken, but guiding a taxonomist to identify the animal, either joked with them or he misunderstood what they said, and the longest standing theory is that the tribe was fucking with him, messing with him, and Oh yeah, they eat birds. They're so big. You catch them in the trees and they fall out of fall out of the trees and that kind of thing, just to kind of like mess with the very eager to explore yet very very scared and nervous European man coming in. But it's that same type of thing. You get an exploitive name that sticks very well, and then you kind of give up your last name. So when I generated the entertainment name Ragnar BloodBeard-Ragnar, of course I didn't have a name prior to that I was giving up. That was a Norse name. I just don't use my real name online at all. 90% of people that I know online don't actually know my real name, and Ragnar's not my real name. But I'd like to stick with the enigma of what is that character presented online. So if you don't know me, that's who I am, and that's 20 minutes gone just telling you what about.
Hey, that's cool.
Hey, I educate. I do animal education. I do Norse myth and history education. I'm a fire performer, and I do Old Norse ceremonial rituals or ritual performances and ceremonies for potentially weddings, funerals, birthdays, events. Any your pet's birthday, whatever. I've heard it all. So all around, I'm like you said, performer, actor, model. I work with Grimfrost outside of based in Sweden, who, if you're a metal fan, Amon Amarth, Johan Hegg is the headman, the lead vocals. He owns, or is, I don't know if he's sole owner, but he owns Grimfrost, and forged that with a lot of genuinely like the best of the best as far as explaining Norse history and not falsifying things based on modern culture. Like the Thor in like Thor and Loki being brothers in Marvel and that kind of stuff. Like, they don't go by any of that. It's all historically accurate, has to come from the original source, and they work with the museums there around there as well. So
sweet.
Proud to be part of that company. And everything I do is either education or some kind of entertainment. So that's in a nutshell.
Do you do any of your teachings virtually?
I had like 25 videos on my YouTube channel. It was Life and Religion of the Northmen.
Mm-hmm.
And thought that I wanted to open it up and be a little bit more of a lifestyle thing, because I was getting into the modeling a little more. And then animals was catching anytime I posted about the animals, it kind of flew. So I'm like, maybe I could just like make this name that I've made, like this entertainment that I've made, or this name that I use in entertainment, a bigger thing, like a brand. Like at the time it was actually Ragnar Dracana. I'm sure that's what you actually remember me by. But that was my fiance and I made those entertainment names together. And when she passed away, I didn't want to continue to use that name because it was our creation, and what I was going to be doing after that wouldn't be the same. I'll never recreate those types of performances or events or anything as far as the art goes that we made. So I needed to, make that name go away and reforge myself independently as Ragnar BloodBeard-Ragnar, which was technically the name that I would use if I was still doing Norse stuff, if I wasn't under Dracanic Apocryphos, our entertainment, our stage group. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so
yeah, I know it's rough. I lost
my thought because of what it was about. I really apologize about that. If you can let me know what we were getting to the point of, if I didn't get to awesome. If not, let it ride. Viewers, I apologize. I did just lose my fiance to depression, unfortunately, in December. So I don't know when this is going to air, but that is what, unfortunately.
I feel for you, brother. I mean, I lost my father to suicide, my little brother, and a couple of my best friends. And my brother was 20 years ago, and his birthday was just the other day, and I literally cried like a baby that morning. It's just, it seems like you might be able to handle it a little bit better as time goes on, but it never goes away.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I won't necessarily go into any sort of detail.
No, of course not.
But the whole act was actually seemingly set up, ritualized. And so I kind of had to make sense of what I saw and found, when I went in to that room. So like maybe you and I, like later me, like I can talk to you about it. I just don't like want her family to be upset about any sort of being divulged or anything like that. Of course, a lot of crazy talk came out like crazy, out of the woodwork. Everybody had some theory about who, what, where, why, and it is what it is. It's been a long 6 months is all I'm gonna say. But I'm ready to be back in the social eye. This is the first thing that I'm doing, to be honest with you, since then. And I've had a few, I did a podcast about animals on Monday, but it was literally like a party that, like an animal party that a podcast was hosting. So they were kind of just like, like live. And it was like 3 minutes that I was on it. So other than that, technically, I guess I did something. This is the first time that I've actually wanted to be up and at 'em right here. But that it does remind me, I know what we were talking about and I know where I got lost. So you asked if I do the education online.
Right.
I have Life in the Religion of the Northmen. I wanted to brand Ragnar Dracana a lot more. So then I deleted all my old educational videos because I wanted it reformatted different, like have an intro put on each one, make it a lot more professional. So I changed it from Life and Religion of the Northmen to Ragnar Dracana, which it currently is. Unfortunately, I'll probably just delete it and not use it at all. There's a few collab videos that I did with Eloise, my fiance at the time, that I don't, I can't keep them on there. I can't stomach watching them. It's time to just kind of get rid of all of that for now. Mm-hmm. And I'll have it all on hard drive. So, I'm not getting rid of the memories, but at the same time, I need to go back to specializing each individual social media platform for what I want it to be. It can't be all of what I do, because you'll find that people will love the animal stuff, but not want to have to search through the Norse stuff because that's real weird. You know what I mean? Or the Norse stuff is really cool, but they don't really care about the outdoor stuff or the animal stuff. That's kind of whack. And I found that I really do just have to separate everything. So I made the mistake of deleting all those educational videos, and I was a lot less experienced than I am now. I'm sure I'm a lot more fluent when I'm talking about it. Mm-hmm. And I've learned a lot more as far as what I want to produce to put out to the masses. So no, currently I think there's only one video on my YouTube that is Norse, and it's about Viking age women in Scandinavia. And the facts about, yes, there were shield maidens. No, they were not. They were very few and far between. It just was what it was. That's not to say females didn't have the most important role in the society itself. They did. They stayed back. They tended to the village. They took care of the treasury. They typically were the treasurers of the family. They were allowed to divorce, although there is the contradiction of where would you ever go if you did divorce? You lose your dowry or your bride price, rather. So those types of things all come into play. Sure, they were free women, but where would you go if you left? So then a lot of women stayed and still stayed oppressed by their man. There's a lot that goes into it, and there's actually a great book. I'll send the reference to you because I don't think I have it right in this room. But Grimfrost sells it. It's by Anders Winroth's wife, mm-hmm. And it's called Valkyrie, actually. And that explains the duality of being such a free and hardworking and important status as a woman, but also being trapped because your families typically would marry you for some kind of expansion on the farm or security or favor to the Jarl or whatever it was. So yes, they were very free, and yes, they could be warriors, but oftentimes that just wasn't really the case in their day-to-day life as far as being those, Valkyries on Earth, as it were, in media.
Yeah, well, you have people like me who I guess I describe it as more of a casual learner. I pick up things here and there as I go along, but I haven't extensively really studied it.
Yeah.
I do have a lot of books on runes. I'm just drawn to them for some reason.
Yeah.
Um, and for those who believe in mediums and psychics, we do have one that works with us on our team, and she referred to me as a godkin. I don't know if you know that reference or not, but apparently I have some kind of a uh, some kind of tie to Norse mythology. I guess it's called Godkin.
Oh, God King.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why I'm so drawn to the runes, and I'm trying to learn them. I'm very slow about learning them. I'm one of these. It's hard for me just to sit down and read a book and learn. I have to be a hands-on kind of person.
Yeah.
And with everything that goes on, it shouldn't be an excuse. But we do have a lot going on with the network and stuff. So I do need to take time out of my day just to focus on that. And so that's why I was wondering if you had something virtual. I really want to get into it.
See, that's the thing. I did have one for runes, but it wasn't about the magical practice per se. It was about the historical study of them and the understanding of what they were used for, as it were. There's not a single thing there. I recall one time that I believe that it is said a Norn, maybe no, maybe it was Tyr. Okay, I'm not going to say which deity it was. A deity carved runes onto a stick for healing, and other than that, there's not a time I can recall that runes are used magically, aside from when Odin talks about gaining the runes and also gaining magical spells, or the um, magic within being spoken or well spoken as a man. Um, so like the practice of divining with the runes, it could have definitely happened, but what likely moreover it was more like a stones and bones type of concept. The junk drawer divination casting, where you take things that mean a lot to you that can also have multiple meanings and aspects of somebody's life as far as protection and family and occupation and domestic wealth and housing and all these different things you can have. So if you're talking about housing, you may use like the small vertebrae or rib cage of a small mammal, right? And cast that. And you may carve runes on those because runes are your alphabet that you use, but the runes themselves don't, potentially at least, didn't hold as much of a magical significance to the Viking Age people as it does to even like modern heathens, reconstructionists, Asatru brethren, those types of people. And it's not to say that that's a bad thing. Energy put into something gives that thing an energy. Even a simple word can have such a heavy impact. Think of such a, like the current day, the current derogatory terms that would be the worst that you could ever say. That is because an energy was put into what that word meant, and the first time it was said, it likely had zero energy in comparison to what the hell that holds now. And that goes the same for thousands of years or hundreds of years of potential practice in magic of runes. So I'm not discounting or discrediting the idea that runes are used magically, and I do divine with the runes for myself and at events, but I do take it as a face value concept of maybe I am just accessing things from the universe, and the runes are giving me a symbol that allows me to quick draw connect, and it's not necessarily the runes and the Norse gods magic or any sort of Sather or any sort of thing from Odin's knowledge, and it may not necessarily be that. We can't really know that that stuff was practiced back in the day because it was never really spoken about, which is crazy. You really think it was, but most rune stones were actually put up post-Christian takeover, post-Christianization, and the tradition was just kept in play because the families held on to the old ways, and it was more frequent because there was more money coming into a very resource poor, high population area, and they could erect more rune stones. So it's not like Christianization just struck everything down as far as using runes. It just enhanced the amount runes were used, in the most common way, which was honestly just runestones. There's not any scriptures or, you know, the Poetic Edda or any sort of the Norse myths. Not one of them is in runestones. It's all in Latin scripture from 12 to 1300 from Snorri Sturluson or other Icelandic peoples. And by what it looks like in dialect, you can linguistically backdate where that original poem was from, which is how we know that, say, a thing written in 1200 is actually from 800, because the way that it's written and the words that are used in that 800-year-old poem, though it's written in 1200, are going to stand out significantly in a historical footprint that is.
Well,
So,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Runes are great and totally use them for divination, but every book that you ever read as far as the historic, the magical practice of them is going to be a modernized thing that some form of pagan or studier of paganism has concocted. And it's not to say that it's wrong, because a lot of those books are right, and I've read some of them myself. I agree with the majority of what's in most of those books as far as the resonation I get from said runes. But it does seem to be a more modern practice than, you know, what, you know, Ragnar's seer would be doing or something like that. It'd be more likely that he'd be throwing stones, bones, and sticks and seeing what that resonates with in his local area.
Well, being that my wife is a witch, she practices chaos magic,
Yeah.
And this gets into the paranormal part of everything. And you know, we do work with a lot of mediums, psychics, and witches, and the intention, like you said, anything can be a talisman if it's near and dear
Yeah.
to you, and you put the intention to it, and it's protection. And the runes, which they told me that you had to make them yourself if they were going to have any kind of intention to them, and you were going to really have any kind of magic per se come from it, whether it be uh, the oracle runes, divination, that kind of thing. We were told that we could actually create our own runes in order to have protection when we go in to do these investigations, which as
I remember you
you
talking
could,
last time we talked, actually.
yeah, those are the tattoos we use for
Yeah.
that
Yes.
part of,
Yeah.
and plus, you know, my rings and my jewelry, other stuff that I use for protection. And
Yeah.
I do feel that there is some magic in it. You know, it does help protect me.
100%.
So, speaking of paranormal, let's get into talking about, number one, the movie that you were in, and some of that paranormal stuff that went along with it.
Yeah. So, I mean, first off, the place that we were filming was never inside Eloise Asylum. The movie, of course, guys, that we're talking about, that you can't pick our brains and know this, it's Eloise. Eloise was a place that was founded in 1839, or the area was built and started. It wasn't technically called Eloise quite then, but in 1839 it ran all the way to 1982 to some capacity, and it was named after a small child, Eloise Dickerson Davik, that was a niece or a daughter to the person in charge, basically. It ended up with 78 buildings. This place was huge. It was the largest psychiatric facility in the nation at one point. They did a ton of exploratory procedures. It was the place that had the x-ray done first. The lobotomy was either started or heavily used right in the beginning there. I don't want to misfact that. The whole place at capacity was 10,000 patients, right? So 2,000 staff. It had its own firehouse, its own zip code. It wasn't technically a part of a city at the time because of its own zip code. So, I mean, it had its own everything. The amount of security that it had was like a police force. Unfortunately, now there's just 5 buildings left. A lot of it was burned down. A lot of it was torn down. And the crazy thing is that the movie that we're talking about, that I had both done some animal wrangling in anything that they needed, as far as every pigeon you see to every rat in the corner, and don't want
The
to spoil.
snakes.
Yeah, the whole entire thing, but the snakes and spiders and larvae, beetle larvae, and all that kind of stuff we supplied. Um, the the movie itself was not filmed at Eloise except for outside. So anything outside is genuinely Eloise. It says it right on the front, all that kind of stuff. Where we filmed in the Masonic Temple in Detroit City, that place itself is a paranormal hotspot. I mean, I've worked there in several occasions. Most of the time it's for the Theater Bazaar. It's a giant, crazy party, as if a hellmouth opens up and a circus and carnival from hell come up through the Masonic Temple and infuse the Masonic Temple with a hell party. That is what this place is. Hundreds, if not 1,000 people partying, fire, hooks through the body, people being carted around on hooks through the body, music. All the music is saxophones and old style blues and jazz, and there's burlesque, and there's anything that the debauchery is real. Okay, these parties are insane. A little bit of self-promotion because I do work at them, but the Masonic Temple that is at, and the Masonic Temple that we recorded the film at, is 100% haunted. I would never want to walk through the halls alone. I believe, but I'm not typically frightened unless I feel some form of like infernal deity. Like if I think there's some demon or some shit like that, I'm out. I'm not fucking with it. But ghosts, I'm typically okay. I try to hold a space for them, allow them to understand, and go about my day hopefully uninterrupted. This is a place that I cannot do that. And I don't know if it's because some shit's mad that Theater Bazaar goes on there, or if some shit's just there because of everything that could be twisted up with, the Knights Templar initiation chamber in there, and the Masonic Temple being what it is. Needless to say, the place is haunted in and of itself. The story of the actual film is a couple guys have to go in and break into the Eloise Asylum, now shut down. Still, they do correctly depict the 5 buildings being open as of today and all that kind of stuff. They have to go in, they have to find a death certificate to, put a rush on getting a lot of cash from his dad passing away that he didn't know he was going to get. He was kind of estranged from his dad. So they go in, and then craziness ensues. I don't want to lead into the story too much, but, a haunting of sorts happens within the film, within the asylum. And that's the, issue that they have to get out of, obviously, in the film. What is crazy enough, the most crazy thing about the whole entire history of this place is that after we were done filming the film, they found upwards of 7,000 or more unmarked graves, covered over by, just like old ass stones with numbers on them, or light descriptions of who they were, but completely covered over by grass. Not all of them were just unmarked graves. There were mass graves, and there were all these crazy things that were being dug up. And I remember it being like on the news, 400 bodies or something like that. And then 1,500 bodies, 3,500 bodies, up to 7,000 bodies. How all this was going down literally wrote the story that was just filmed prior to it even being, history that was out into the world. It was crazy. And now there's paranormal investigations going on. They do haunted tours. There's a spectrum of price ranges that you can pick from depending on what you're trying to do, how inclusive you're supposed to try to be. But I mean, working on the film was great. It was really cool. Learning the history. I knew a little bit about it because I was local, but I surprisingly a lot less than other things like Drainer Road with Dunn's Tomb up in Lake Orion, Rochester area. There's Troll Bridge at 16 and Woodward. I can't remember what city that is, but if you're local and listening to this or watching this, you totally know what I'm talking about. You'll hear about those a hell of a lot more than you would have ever heard of Eloise. And then all the stuff comes out, and we went there for a photo shoot to try to promote the film. Eladani and I did, and there were homeless people there because there is an administration building active. 5 buildings are still there, and some halfway houses or homeless care is going on there. They distinctly said people will sleep outside in the snow as opposed to sleeping in that building and that building and that building because of these different hauntings. And they just kept describing different things. Animals sounding like they're dying as soon as they walk in.
Wow.
Kids bouncing balls, screams of agony, all that kind of stuff. And this is real life people saying, I'd rather sleep out here in the winter in Detroit, technically Westland, but right next to Detroit. We have negative degrees here, brother. Like, you don't want to fuck around like that. It's that scary, I guess.
Dang. Did you get to actually work with Eliza Dushku?
I said one sentence to her. I think she asked me to pass the coffee. Fucking amount of food. Like, so that's the thing on set. Like, I had never done that. The boss who owns the reptile facility that I work for, I manage it, but he runs it. He's the owner. He had worked on Hostel 3, so he knew about the like wine and dine scenario that they give you of like an open buffet. But he just told me stories. So when we worked on this film, it was the first one I had worked on, and like, so Brandon T. Jackson, Eliza Dushku, and PJ Burns were like all at the like getting a bunch of food and shit. And she asked if I could pass the coffee, and I thought she said something like, "Will you get this off me?" And I like did this so like real talk. Eliza Dushku was like my crush when I was growing up, right? So then to meet her, she looks as young and vibrant as she did when I was a kid. First off, in person, like I want to say she's in her 40s now. She's got to be, and she is also like this tall. But I like do this, and I'm like, "What's on you?" And I'm thinking, we're there with animals. Like, it could be a roach, a superworm, one of our snakes, a rat on her foot. Anything could be going on right now. So I'm like, "Fuck! This is what I get to say to you is what kind of animal is fucking your day up that I brought here." You know what I mean? But it was just like, "What's on you?" And she's like, "Nothing's on me. On the coffee." That was it. But she was nice, like you could see how she interacted with other people who were actually like I didn't have to work directly with them. You know what I mean? So yeah. I tried to stay back, let professionals do what they did. So like watching her with other people, she was a genuinely nice person. PJ seemed like he was a great person. Chase Crawford, I only saw for a couple seconds on like actually filming. So they're in like, you saw the film?
Yes, actually,
okay.
I've seen it twice.
Okay, so when you find right, I forgot you said you already had seen it. So when they're looking through all of the files and it's flashing back to patients, and that's where you see Aladani, myself with the rat trap on my head, and a person getting his head face pushed into superworms, the beetle larvae, the roaches being poured on a guy, all that kind of stuff. The tarantulas on the face of the woman. He's looking through these files and it's doing these flashbacks, right? During that time, there's like, you can hardly even see him. I don't know why they paid so much for these damn pigeons, but there's pigeons up on the filing cabinets, right? All in the Masonic Temple. It's supposed to look like the annex at Eloise, and they did a great job. I can't believe it ruined. Movie magic is ruined forever for me because of being backstage and seeing behind the scenes. But like how they made this look like you truly thought they were in Eloise, even though you're in the Masonic Temple and you know it. Yeah, but we had these pigeons that their wings were clipped, and we had tied them with a small fishing lure or fishing line to the filing cabinets themselves, just so they like wouldn't. No, we didn't want to clip their wings. That was what it was. We didn't want to clip their wings, so we tied them to the fishing lure with a fishing lure, and it worked great. But I'm like right behind you. You would never know it, but I'm like right behind Chase Crawford. Like his belt is this far away from me, basically, and ready to catch it just in case it breaks or something. And you would like, these guys are so good at their job. They act like you're not there at all. It was pretty dope. That was the amount, the most amount that I got out of him. But Brandon T. Jackson, who was in like Percy Jackson and the Olympians, played the satire in that. He came in and he's like, "Oh, what the fuck is up with all these animals, yo?" And I'm like, "Hey, I got to go on break. so the director was Robert Legato. So I'm like, Legato said that you were supposed to watch the tarantulas and the snakes. They'll be in bins, but you got to watch them just for like 25 minutes while we get some grub. And I was like trying to play it like cool and like acting like like it was serious. He's like, fuck that, fuck you. That's what you think for, not me. and so that, you know, that was cool to like have a quick moment. And I'm like, no, I'm just fucking with you, man. And he's like, so what the fuck y'all got? And he's like, all of a sudden in it and looking all over and shit. Yeah, it was pretty cool, man. It was an experience for sure. Long days. I mean, we were there 13, 15 hours at a time working, you know, but it was really fun. And you kind of ran the show in a sense with the animals because they don't want Humane Society on their ass or anything like that. So they want you to count every roach that is being poured on a guy and then count every roach afterwards. Like that kind of real type of shit. It was really hard in that sense. But if like a snake was falling off and I like went to go grab it but didn't want to get in the set or in the shot, and I looked at the director real quick and he's like, cut. Like, do you have to grab that snake? Yeah. And I grabbed it real quick. He's like, look, we will shoot this 1,000 times. The animals are the priority as far as their care and safety. You get in there if you need to get in there. Stay out of these guys' way, guys. You know, it was really cool, man. And we thought we'd be like pushed to the side and all that kind of stuff, and they really just appreciated everything we were doing. The acting came because no actors wanted to actually do the roles that we were doing with the animals being forced on us to cure our fears of said animals and shit. It was all around a collective great time. Yeah. And we got paid. I was surprised how much you got paid for the whole thing.
Really? Yeah, I would not like to be the one with rats crawling all over my face.
Yeah. So I mean, they were like our pet rats. They're Norwegian curly hair rats, and our rats. And so we were like taking their paws and hand sanitizing them. I wouldn't have gave a shit, but like we were showing off for the people who were there for animal welfare. So as I'm being recorded, I'm like trying to like bite at him and like hit him with my face, but I know that I'm getting close and not actually hitting him and shit. And as soon as you hear cut, it was like I have a old camera phone video of it. Like I'm trying to bite at him, cut, and then I'm like and kissing them, and they're coming up and kissing because they're trained. You know what I mean? That's what they do. And it was just the way that they are depicted versus how they were actually acting was totally movie magic.
That's too cool, man. So, and you have an actual store, right?
Yeah. So the store I run is in Shelby Township, Michigan. Arguably, we have the most rare animals for sale in Michigan as far as reptiles and amphibians, and have the most vast amount of said animals. We do animal education and try to work in conservation as much as we can. Personally, my own ventures, I'm working with Willstem Ranch in French Lick, Indiana. They work with elephant conservation and all that kind of stuff. I have some animals that I'm going to donate to them, where we're going to start doing breeding and release programs for endangered reptiles in America. And I'll vlog and do all that kind of shit and make it blow up so that more people appreciate it, so that we can do even more for the animals. There's a lot that we all do as a collective. But that's Pets and Things Reptile Emporium. That's who actually got the gig for Eloise was, my buddy Keith, who is the owner. But the day-to-day, yeah, for the most part, aside from working with distributors, is all on me and a couple badass employees that if I didn't have them, there's no way that place would run. I mean, we work with, anacondas, reticulated pythons, some venomous, giant lizards, 60-year-old tortoises, critically endangered animals that can't cross state lines without federal regulation permits and all that kind of stuff. And it's a wild ride. I mean, it got us into that. We worked on Hardcore Pawn, which was on True TV, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Pawn shop in Detroit that we did a little circus thing with. We worked with Cranbrook Institute of Science that was mentioned in 8 Mile. If you've ever seen 8 Mile, the battle rapper in the main event, Papa Doc, he ends up, if we find out that he went to a private school, it's Cranbrook that was mentioned. That's the school. We've worked with them for 3 years, headlining events with them. We just try to push the envelope on what ethics are, the industry standard is, not keeping big snakes in small cages. giving proper enrichment to animals that hunt instead of giving them live food, giving them obstacles to get to said food, different things like that, dynamic approaches to pet keeping that all in all better the relationship that you have with the animal, the understanding of the relationship you should have with the animal, and potentially weed out a lot of bad owners and recruit better owners for the animals that we work with.
Mm. Well, I mean, you know how much we respect you, and we definitely want to support you in any way we can, anything that we can do for you. So if you have any kind of events or anything coming up, please let us know, because we want to get that out there to everyone. Do you have anything coming up soon?
So I just did a family fun event with a couple lizards in Detroit for Gypsy Exotic. I'll get with you and throw you some ats, like I'll throw you the mentions or whatever for Instagram and shit like that. But that was my most recent one as far as a live animal show. And it was very small. It was just kind of her kickstarting who she wanted to work with, see if we worked out well together, have the family come to see if they like the idea of it, not get super criticized by the public, get a family idea of what it is, because they'll be brutally honest with you. And it was a lot of fun. It worked out well. We're going to be launching a lot more events like that, both for rescue and conservation, as well as generating income to push the brand that is Gypsy Exotic. There's tons of stuff coming up, and I will let you know on any and all things. As far as right this second, my next thing that would be coming up is just a vlog I'll be doing of taking one of my black pine snakes over to Wilston Ranch, like I was saying, at French Lick, and starting that program of breeding and releasing of critically endangered species of reptiles and amphibians that I can't currently work with in the pet trade. So and then as far as I know you run another thing, the whole that other podcast we were talking about, or that other show you were talking about. That's the kind of thing there that I would love to jump on that one with, because there's a lot that goes into how much dedication it takes to be an animal keeper at the level that I find you should, as well as how much it gives you to see the changes in animals and species that you've never even fathomed. Like, I have redfoot tortoises that shake hands for food. They potentially are going to be working on figure eights through the legs next. I have caiman lizards that will pound, you walk up to them and pound it, and they'll walk up and stick their nose and hold it to it, ask for food. I mean, we're pushing the envelope tenfold on that kind of shit. And I'd love to jump on that other, thing that you got going.
Yeah. Listen to the vibes, man.
Love to throw on there.
If there's any way we could maybe do something live at your shop, man, that would be awesome.
Oh, 100% we can. 100% we can. I got the keys to the building. I can go there any time that we need to, but also that's something that I'd love for the owner of the shop to be able to be on.
Oh,
he
yeah,
loves
for sure.
Kind of stuff, and COVID really shut it down for us. So we've been out of the loop in the entertainment education sector for a long time, too long. It's driving us crazy, and Michigan's really shut down. I know we've had high cases and everything, and we won't get into that. That's not what this is about. But Michigan's been shut down for a long time, and now the governor's really fucking opening us up, just doing a bang out job for that. And I'm really proud of how the state's coming together on grasping how we're going to work this out in the coming summer, fall, potentially even winter. I think we got it on lock in Michigan at this point. I mean, I know we were one of the worst for a long time, and trust me, we felt it, but we stayed strong. So
it'd be awesome if we could do a few segments where you could maybe feature one or two or even three different animals. That would be cool.
As you want. I know he'll love that. He's like a dinosaur, man. He is not tech savvy at all. If he was going to be killed, if he didn't create a Facebook, he would be killed. I'm saying this guy is ancient, but I mean, he's just coming up on 50. He's not ancient, but he's ancient mindset wise. He should have been born in the 1800s. He would have lived a way easier life on his part, because the internet frustrates him to no end. This is the perfect type of venture where he can be free form with a guy that is chill, non-invasive, non-bias based on animals because you don't do it. You know what I mean? Like this would be great for him, honestly. So yeah, we can get into that.
Yeah. Hey, watch when you say ancient. I'm going to be 51 this year, so.
No, he's ancient brain. Trust me. Yeah, I'm 30.
Now, see, my daughter has gotten into well, she's got a gecko, and don't ask me what kind of gecko it is because I've already forgotten. And she's got a tarantula, and she's been studying and watching videos and everything under the sun. And I know she would love to jump in on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that'd be dope, man. We can do that. We can do that on like Sunday after 4, like Sunday at 4:30 would be dope. I mean, we could do that. If you were free, it depends. We can link up. We can we can work that out. But yeah, we'll do that. 100%.
Sure. That'd be awesome. See, I took the easy way out. I got cats, and they just pretty much take care of themselves. I feed them, give them water, change their litter box, and pet them, and I've got it made.
Yeah. Currently, right now, I'm working with 6 birds, 2 ferrets, 2 cats, 2 dogs, a kinkajou. I'll get back to you on what that is. Okay. 14 snakes, a tegu, big ass lizard, a bearded dragon, and a damn box turtle. And then like 20,000 isopods. I work with invertebrates, microinvertebrates, little species that, like small guys. That number is not as significant as it sounds, but yeah, about 20,000 of those too. But the kinkajou is somebody I just recently picked up. She is a South American tree raccoon, but they mainly eat fruits and nectars. It's considered the worst carnivore of the carnivora family, or the carnivora group. But it is closely related to olingos, raccoons, coatimundis, that kind of thing. It looks like a primate. It really does. If she's out, I don't see her out right now, but if by the time we're settling up, she's out, I'll go over there and shine a light so you can check her out. But if not, I'll send you the videos. I got TikToks of her and shit. But she was gonna be used for animal education. I kind of told the guy it wasn't a good idea because they're solitary animals, nocturnal, don't really like interaction in general in their own species, let alone with a human giant person. Looks like a monkey that wants to eat them. And tribes eat them as well in the rainforest, right? So it just doesn't want to fuck with you most of the time. It will come up, sniff, take food. It's cool, but it doesn't want to do live children's shows. So he sold it to for a third of the cost of what it was, a little less than a third of the cost it was. And it was bitey and scratchy and hissy and spitting at you and everything. When I met it a couple times, I brought it home. That thing is a peach, man. It comes out of the cage, on top of the cage, on top of the bird cage. It'll come up and take food right out of anybody's hand. It lets you pet it when you give it a fruit smoothie. I mean, like, it's just A1 perfect. It's crazy. I don't even know. And it's not like I know the guy very well. I got it from. He's not a bad man. He's been doing this for 35 years. He knows what he's doing. And it just wasn't for him. And she wasn't having him either. So now her name, Kulimina, which is an Arawak tribes goddess that was a Lilith, if you will, like a feminist goddess that was bastardized by man because she was too creative and too independent and all that kind of thing. But from the same area that she's from, so she's.
I used to have a Quaker.
Did you?
I named him Rocky, and I would come in. I say, "Good morning, Rocky," and he'd say, "F you." I'm like, "Don't talk to me like that." And he'd go,
That is fucking hilarious because the Quaker that we had at the store, long time, named Scout, he would turn to the head, turn his head like this and get his eyes dilated and what the fuck, and he just keep doing it. So fuck you, or what the fuck. They're prone to swearing. I don't know what it is about the rise they see in humans when they're swearing that they connect to that over anything else. Like cockatoos and African grays and other kind of mocking parrots and all that kind of shit don't necessarily go right for the swear words, you know? But Quakers seem to be one of the most attitude driven, dominant, pick on you till you hit back and then be like, what the fuck, bro? Type of parrots that there is. So it makes sense, I guess, that that's what they pick up on is the harsh snaps of like, what the fuck, you know? And then you're like, that's exactly it. What the, you know, if you quick turn at somebody and say that, that's exactly what he's doing. What the fuck?
You know, people are starting to use animals in doing paranormal investigations, especially like dogs. They can pick up on things that we can't see, and it's amazing how it's working out.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something you could get into.
Yeah, you know, honestly, I freak out when my animals do that here, and I have so many different animals they do different shit. And like, I'll get a feeling, and then look over and be like, "Oh, my doves are looking exactly the same place I am, and they're all flustered right now," when they should be asleep for like 2 hours into their sleep right now. Or my cockatiel will have night terrors. I'll wake up and freak out from a dream, and I know I'm like, I wake up and I realize that I'm not really in a dream anymore and I'm like calm. And then she wakes up and freaks out and has night terrors. It's like, what the hell is going on, man? You know, I refuse to do it. I don't need it. I don't need it. I'm happy to go with people who use animals. I'm not against it, but I don't need any more connection to the dead. I'm telling you right now, that's a whole different podcast we can have, but I'm too connected to the realm of the dead. I don't know what with plant and fungus medicine is what I'll say is all. I have connections to the dead that we'll talk about on another time. I don't know if this is the right podcast to do it or if you talk about that shit. Don't want to get into it without ruining your views or ratings. But, you know, I've explored the land of the dead, shamanically speaking, in very many different ways and with different tools. And I don't need any more help with that. So I'm not using my animals so that they get it too far, and then they're just always awake, freaking. Like, I'll sleep here again, man. This fucking house, this is a broken home at this point, man. I can't stand this house. I need to get out of here. I haven't moved yet, you know? So I don't need,
really.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. What, you know, to me, when you have the right pet, it seems like they pick you instead of you picking them.
Yeah.
Because I told you the story before we got on air about the tortie cat that I have, and how she just jumped all over me, was rubbing all over me, and you know, I have PTSD, anxiety, and I suffer from depression myself. And when I feel an attack coming on, she will, wherever she's at in the room, she'll run and she'll jump on me and she'll rub on me until I calm down. And
Right.
when my blood sugar is starting to drop because I am diabetic, she'll jump on me when I'm having my blood sugar's dropping. So yeah, they are definitely remarkable. And I don't know, if you mistreat an animal, I have no use for you.
Absolutely. You are neither, as the Norse would say. You'll end up in the bottom bowels of Helheim in the Strand, where Neithhoger will gnaw at you and suck the blood out of your veins, and you'll feel every drop leave you, and it will constantly happen for eternity. That is where rapists go. That is where oath breakers go. That is where animal abusers go.
Well, I'll tell you what, I guess I'm the biggest wuss in the world because I have some neons, and I was cleaning out their tank yesterday.
What, neon day geckos?
The little fish.
Oh, yeah.
And anyway, you know, you have to keep them in the water that you're cleaning out, and so they'll readjust when you put them back into the clean water. And for some reason, this one decided it was going to jump out, and it jumped into the sink and went down the drain. And it's a freaking neon, and I was depressed all last night because of freaking fish.
Oh, dude, I get it. I 100% get it.
So yeah, I'm a wuss.
Dude, I unfortunately work with the death of animals too much. I'm sorry, I hear something out in my. I was almost robbed a couple, like maybe in March,
I don't know.
and so now I heard something outside. No, I gotta go check it out while we're on live. So maybe you guys will live see me catch a fucking thief. Who knows? But I'm trying here.
Yeah,
But yeah, no,
you be
I did.
careful.
Oh no, I'm good. I'm packing, man. Always. Second Amendment rights, baby.
Amen to that.
I don't hear anything. It's probably a raccoon. I live out in the woods, so oftentimes it's that, but I always got to check. Yeah, no, I carry a knife and gun everywhere I go. Yes, hell yes. Protect
Myself.
people. Yeah, protect my people and myself. No, yeah, no, I when we got robbed, or when we basically the door handle got ripped off of our back door. That's what had happened. So it could have been anything. It could have been kids fucking around, sure, but it freaked us out, like all my animals going away and everything like that. Yeah, could have been a bigger deal than what it was, for sure.
Well, I know it's getting late where you're at, man. I'm not going to keep you on much longer. We definitely are going to put all the links to your social media,
Okay.
to also to your website, and man, anything else that you want to add before we end the show?
No, yeah, I guess actually, big ups to Suck It Suicide Detroit chapter. I'll be working with them as far as doing donating my time, doing fire, doing animal education, doing talks about being a widow and shit like that. So big ups to Suck It Suicide. If you're looking for somebody to donate time to, donate funds to, donate resources to in general, and you're in the area, that would be the people that I would say to go to over any sort of animal education or preservation or rescue program that I would ever tell you to donate to. I would go to Suck It Suicide first. And also, if you're in Indiana, check out Wilston Ranch. I'll be working with them, like I said, to be formulating a program to release endangered animals back into our native lands. And if you've ever thought a facility was clean as far as a zoo, an animal rescue, or anything, you've never seen something as clean as this. They do it right. They have acreage upon acreage of land for their elephants versus their wolves versus their bears. They do it right. I've never seen something so incredible in the Midwest. Check them out too. I don't care to really promote anything I'm doing right now because I'm kind of sitting on my ass and working a 9 to 5, 6 days, and kind of doing the fire performing and stuff. And that's all local. So if you're local, and you know fire, you already know me, hit me up, hit Blue Crow Talent up. Ready for booking.
Oh, if you want to send me any and all links that you might have,
Yeah,
I'll be glad to put that up in the descriptions.
for sure.
So please.
And actually, I didn't mention it to you yet, but I can't believe I didn't. I don't know if did you hear of DeadCon coming in Fort Wayne, Indiana?
No.
It's in October 15th through the 17th this year. Eric Werner, he goes by Corvus Nocturnum. He's an author. He's putting it on with Poking Dead Things, Morgana Grimm. She's a girl up here. Anyways, original Ghostbuster will be there. Freddie, Mike, and Jason, original actors, will be there. Boris Karloff's daughters will be there. Tons. Bram Stoker's relatives will be there. It's a huge, huge event, and it's the first year. I'll send you the information because they're doing things about giving. It's like a grant program for vendors where if you get approved, you get like a free booth and shit. So then it might be worth it for you guys to come out and get on the ground floor. A couple of the original ghost hunters, I'm sure you'll know them by name, but I don't remember who they are. And if you told me the names, I wouldn't remember, but I'll send you all of this. They're going to be there. It's going to be huge, man. And I'm running security as well as doing a talk on phobias there. And we'll also have a booth set up where you can take pictures with big animals, big tarantulas, big snakes, and all that kind of shit too. So look into it when I send it to you, but it's something that you guys might want to look into, if not for this year, for next year, because they also correlate when COVID's not going on. Fort Wayne has an annual zombie walk, and it's huge. And I guess Eric was basically making it to end the zombie walk at the event starting at DeadCon. And I don't know that the zombie walk will go on this year or not because of COVID. I have no idea about that. It's a separate entity, but that was the basis on it. And the amount of, he almost got Daryl from Walking Dead to go for the very first year. He just wanted to see for the first year that it went somewhere instead of paying $100K for Daryl to come to see a flop. So it should be huge, be really big. Eric doesn't mess around with events. Morgana doesn't mess around with events. There's some of the top names in the both pagan and satanic community here in Michigan, especially Metro Detroit. It's going to be huge. I'll send you the stuff. That is something that I would promote for any of you paranormal fans that are listening, or horror fans, or just Comic-Con fans. I'm sure there will be some, general Comic-Con shit going on too. We're going to be there. We're going to have big animals. We're going to talk about fears and phobias. There will be tons of taxidermy, vulture culture, tons of, celebrities to meet, get autographs, collab with. If you're, working in the TV network or anything like that, it's the place to be. And I think this is going to be the ground floor of something huge for horror conventions, because it's been talked about for a long time, cultivated for a long time. And the people that are on the ground floor, he's friends with all those guys as far as the horror celebrities. So it's just going to get bigger. It's just going to get better. Definitely proud of that. Proud to be working the first one. Proud to be friends with these guys. Not just, online acquaintances. I can't believe I can sit down at a table with these guys, not on business, and play a board game with them, let alone know them,
Hey,
so
invite them to the show, man.
Yeah, big things. I will actually. I'll send both of them an invitation to shoot you a message. Morgana's probably more busy at this point in time because she runs a couple shops and a couple things, few pagan events. But in general, I'll let them both know. I'll give my word that you guys are cool as hell to work with. Low key. If you got to reschedule, it's not a big deal because you're fucking work with us when we're busy. You know what I mean? Obviously we're supposed to do this like 3 times now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it happens.
But I appreciate it, man.
Oh yeah. Anything we can do for you, man. I appreciated you from day one, and you're always welcome back on the show. Anything that you got going on, we're more than glad to promote. That's what we're all about, helping each other out.
For sure. Obviously, I'm going to share this everywhere too. Hopefully we can really get something going.
Well, for everybody that's been watching or listening, thank you for joining us, and thank you, Ragnar, for being on the show. It's meant the world to me. You're an awesome guy, man.
It's more than a pleasure, brother. And like you said, thank you, all of you guys, for making this right for him, making it worth him contacting me, working through all my crazy bullshit. To make this happen was like weeks and weeks. You don't understand how long it took to lock it down. And that's all on me because he has dedication to you motherfuckers. So glad if you didn't meet me this time, glad to keep coming back and meeting you again. Skull.
Skull. And to all of you, till the next one, peace.
Po boy.